Coming up on the game plan with Ron Rivera, the Commanders are back home at FedEx for a divisional matchup with the Giants. Coach and I break down our dynamic running backs' best plays, and later on, we talk about must-watch matchups to get you ready for kickoff. It's your inside look at the game plan, and it starts now. The Game Plan with Ron Rivera is presented by your local Honda dealer. Feel the power of Honda's most electrifying vehicles yet, like the CR-V Hybrid and Accord Hybrid. Find adventure in a rugged SUV like the Pilot Trail Sport, or experience performance in a fun-to-drive Civic. Find your perfect Honda. See your local Honda dealer today. And by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly. Welcome into the Game Plan with none other than Ron Rivera. I'm Logan Paulson. We're here to talk about the New York Giants. Coach, much different team than you guys saw a couple weeks ago. New quarterback at the helm. Yep. Tommy DeVito, what do you know about him? What can you say about him?
Well, Tommy's a rookie, played at Illinois,
yep.
Had a nice career there, really did. A good player, solid player. Again, young guy, though, rookie. So somebody we got to be able to take advantage of. But hey, let's don't forget, they do have Saquon Barkley, very dynamic football player.
I'm glad you talked about Saquon Barkley, because really, anytime he's on the field, he's a threat to take the distance. How do you manage what he does, not only as a runner, but as a pass catcher?
Well, I think the biggest thing is understanding your leverage as a player.
Yeah.
Our leverage in terms of my gap responsibility, knowing that I can't get out of my gap, wanting to make sure that I force him to where I need to force him. And if he steps into my crease, I'm making the tackle. And when I'm in coverage, knowing that I got help in the post, or I got help on the quarter, I got help in the half, yes, so I can steer him in the direction so that in case the ball is thrown to him, I know that I'm not the only one out there. I got people to help me.
That's awesome, because defense is a team sport, obviously, right? The other thing I'd say is, one of the things when you watch the film, a guy that doesn't handle pressure overly well, they're getting a little healthier on the offensive line. How do you create pressure with that front four, or maybe bring in more guys? What's the thought there?
Well, a little bit of both. You really do. I mean, you've got to show pressure, you got to bluff pressure, you got to rush 4, you got to rush 5, you got to rush 3. I mean, you got to mix it up, and then you got to disguise coverage. Because again, if you don't give him the initial indication, he's going to have to hold the ball. Yeah. And if he's holding the ball, give you a chance to make a play.
Yeah, because like you said, he's a young player, right? Young players get confused. They hold the football, get sacks and pressures that way. That'd be awesome. The other thing is on the offense side of the ball, man. You have a tough matchup, I think, with one of the best defensive players in football, in Dexter Lawrence. You guys switched the center spot. Tyler Larson, a guy that you have a lot of faith in, is out there. What's the expectation for Tyler in that matchup?
Well, and again, one thing that we're very aware of is just who Dexter Lawrence is. You can do certain things. You can run away from him, make him try to get outside to try and make his plays, wear him down a little bit. There's opportunity.
Yeah, a 330-pound guy, not in the best shape, right? So.
Well, he is in great shape, though. He really is for a big man. But also, the guards have got to understand that they just can't vacate and leave Tyler by himself. They're going to have to just body present, hand, arm placement, stuff like that, because when the ball gets snapped, stick that inside hand to help protect that gap, to help Tyler out, knowing that, hey, I got help to my right, no help to my left.
Yes, so you can kind of funnel him to the help, and understanding that process is so important. For sure. Another thing that comes up quite a bit is Wink Martindale versus Sam Howell. And the first matchup, not great, but Sam's gotten better and better each week. What's the expectation in that match?
Well, again, we'll do our self-scouting, and we'll do scouting of them, and we'll try and combine that to figure out the best protections for it, and in the best checks, the best audibles. And it's going to be interesting, because one thing that Wink is very aware of is what he does every week. He does a great job of self-scouting. Yeah. He does a great job of trying to match his pressures to your protections. And that's the other thing. Oh, yes, again, he attacks the way you protect. And so it's very interesting, because it's a very classic thing from back in the day that, when I learned from Buddy Ryan was, hey, you don't attack certain things other than the way they protect, the way the center turns, the way the back steps into protections, or what does it mean when a tight end stays to protect. So that's how he thinks in terms of trying to figure out how to attack you.
So each and every week it's a little bit different from him.
It is different. And, because, again, we know what he did last week. Yeah. And we know what he did against us. So it's that old thing. I know that you know that I know.
And then hopefully figure it out. And a big part of that's the running backs. And we're going to talk about those guys right now. Let's take a look at B-Rob's numbers from last week's matchup in Seattle. B-Rob Jr. had a career-high 157 scrimmage yards and 119 receiving yards in last week's matchup against the Seahawks. Let's fire up the film room, presented by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly. All right, Coach, obviously last week in Seattle, the backs showed up in a big way for you, and it's great to see them kind of contributing more to the offense, and hopefully we see that today against New York Giants. Let's talk about this first play. So obviously everyone knows what it is. B-Rob is just going to kind of get lost out here to the flat. They're bringing pressure off the slot here. I think Sam does a pretty good job here of avoiding this pressure, and then kind of like you can't coach this stuff, right? Just kind of extending the play, getting the ball to the back. What do you think, Coach?
And that's really one of the things that's really important and very invaluable to Sam's play, and that is, again, having enough awareness, knowing that he sees the pressure and he's going to have to step away from it. Thing that helps too, though, is Sam Cosme sees it just in time to nick the safety that's blitzing.
Yeah, and that's a big deal because I think this is probably a sack, but that extra little bit of effort gets him out of there. Sam keeps his eyes down the field here, scrambling around. I love that these two hook players, they're trying to get after it a little bit. They step up to him. Obviously, they vacate this zone in the back end, and that's a lot of grass, Coach. So
it is. And one of the things that you always hear EB talking to is that's fine work. When things are happening, you've got to put yourself in position, And one of the things he talks about is in the scramble drill. Okay? If the quarterback's coming to you, you've got an opening, run to the opening. Well, obviously, B-Rob sees it. He sees nothing but green grass, and that's where he heads.
And I love that, man. And then you talk about finding work. I love that you got, your team captain here. This is easy. I think B-Rob probably scores anyway, but he's down here leading the charge, making sure he gets there, no problem. And then it's great to see B-Rob kind of looking fast, Coach.
Yes. Oh,
I didn't realize he had all that.
No, he's always had speed. That's one thing that we just really haven't seen. But for him to get out into the open, this is pretty impressive. Now, I do know this, and this is one of my pet peeves. Don't drop the ball until you get across the end zone.
Yeah, we don't need all that, right? Let's keep that ball high and tight. Yeah, absolutely.
It's all you young football players watching this stuff.
Keep that ball nice and tight, absolutely. And then, again, the backs here, and this is more of a Sam play too, but I love that we're getting pressure. I think, they saw the scattering report. They watched that in the first New York game. Bring a little pressure here. I think Leno does a good job seeing it. He's going to double bump it, but still there's going to be a free runner here. And then Sam understanding what's going on here. Get the ball out to the back, and these guys are good athletes. Make a guy miss, get the first down.
Absolutely, and exactly what you said. The biggest thing is he sees the extra guy coming. Now, this is a little bit of false pressure, and what they do is because they show an overload to one side, but then they bail. And again, Sam doesn't know that because Sam is now looking to that side. So again, his attitude is, I'm going to get it out. I feel the pressure. I know the pressure's coming, and we'll let our running backs with the ball in their hands quickly in space gives them a chance to make plays like this.
Yeah, and it's great when they get to make space, and it's good understanding kind of what you're getting here too, because this is man coverage and they're manning from depth. So if the slant's not there, we can get after it, make a play here. Great job. And Gibson, it would have been nice if you can stay in bounds, but great job getting the first down there. Awesome work. And then it's nice to see B-Rob, you talked about this, being a little bit more patient, understanding how to run this outside zone stuff.
Well, one of the big things we know is, he's used to running from the dot, from the home position. He's used to running downhill gap schemes or lead schemes. And for the most part, here now is zone. And what he has to do is he's got to learn to be patient. And that's what you've seen the last couple of weeks is his patience is really showing. And these are the creases. But the thing I really like, though, is the double right here. The bump by the tight end.
We got to talk about Bates. Yeah, we get it there.
And how he and Leno work together to create the crease. And that's about as nice a block as you can get from that combination right there.
Yeah, because really on outside zone, you're just looking for one guy to get out of a gap, right? So this defender, this is his gap, right? Bates does a good job saying, Leno, overtake it. This guy fits it correctly, but this guy's out of his gap. Ends up being a nice play. And then I love how he finishes through contact, Coach. He got guys on his legs. Doesn't matter. We got corners falling off. We're breaking tackles, making plays.
And we can't see it from this shot, but if you watch his right arm, you can tell him he's putting it high and tight over the ball.
Protect that football.
Absolutely. Well, these guys are notorious for it. They did get one from us, unfortunately. But again, this is a great job by him protecting it high and tight.
Yeah, it's great to see him be a bigger feature of the offense. And Coach, it's nice to have a weapon in a running back like this who can run receiver routes with receiver speed. And this is just a simple concept, what I would call like a sail maybe. You're going to clear these guys out with posts. You're going to run a corner route matched up against the guy who's going to the Hall of Fame. And it's nice to have a running back who can win this matchup.
It is. And the big thing is this was a play that was anticipated, knowing that when they get down into the red zone, they have a tendency to play one man. Single high over the top of the safety. Exactly putting a linebacker on him, and that's exactly what we got. So really, just running the route for the most part, the way it's designed, is exactly what happened.
And it's great. I think it's great when the scheme and all that paperwork you did in the week in prepping this thing shows up exactly how you want it, Coach. I'm so excited to see these backs get more involved in this offense, and hopefully today against New York, they have a big day.
All right.
If you like the game plan, you'll love Command Center. Check out Command Center with Fred, Santana, and myself. Thursdays on the Commanders YouTube channel. We're talking Commanders all the time, 24/7. Make sure you stick around. When we come back, Coach and I go behind enemy lines and review Giants game tape to discuss how we can get a win today. That's next on the Game Plan with Ron Rivera, presented by your local Honda dealer. Welcome back to the Game Plan with Ron Rivera. It's time for the Rivera Review, presented by DC Prime, Loudoun's premier steakhouse. For dinner reservations or private dining calls, 703-840-2099. All right, Coach, let's talk about this Giants team. So one of the things, they're a little bit banged up at the skill position spot, but they still have playmakers. They still got this guy, number 26, in the backfield who run the ball pretty good, but also catches the ball well. Can you talk about what you're seeing here from the Jets defense and then this route from Saquon? What do you think of that?
All right, well, one thing that you see first and foremost is, like you said, the obvious target is 26.
Yeah.
We know Saquon's really, everything starts with him. The quarterback, he just pulls the trigger, but Saquon, he's a very valuable piece. What you see here is they're going to bring pressure, and it's a hybrid of a zero pressure. And the reason I say hybrid is because they're dropping somebody out. But I think the mistake that you see right here is the guy that's going to drop out is not going to play to the leverage side of the quarterback. By that I mean,
what do you mean?
Watch the quarterback when he comes out from under center.
Yeah, you're saying he should keep his leverage.
Exactly.
47 this side of Saquon.
Correct. Because look, you've got the safety, the nickel, and the corner down here all working to this side of the hash. You've got two guys at the top. One of them is a defensive end that now has to cover Saquon.
Right.
Saquon's either running an option or he's running the stick all the way.
Yeah.
If he's running the stick all the way, look at how big that hole opens up.
Yeah.
So to me, the thing that you would like to see the Jets do is have the dropper read the quarterback's eyes. If they're going to run a slant,
I got you.
Yeah, if they're running a slant, that guy that's dropping is going to be there to stop.
You're talking about number 11 right here.
Yeah,
don't work to the three receiver side. Read the quarterback's vision on the drop here.
Correct.
I got what you're saying. Yeah.
Look how big that middle opened up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is they do a good job here of batting this football down, but there's a lot of grass here, Coach, and that always makes me nervous when you got a guy who runs a 4-3.
Absolutely, and again, here's a great example of it, looking at it from the tight end zone, because right there you see nothing but grass.
Yeah.
And so for sure, it's going the distance if he catches it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something like they're a little undermanned offensively, but they still have this playmaker, and they still manufacture these opportunities.
Right, because if you don't play sound, what they're going to do is they're going to find the hole, they're going to find the opening, and they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, so I think that's something to keep an eye on. The other one is I thought this was really interesting. So this is one of Tommy DeVito's touchdowns this year. The Oakland's in kind of this kind of catch two technique, carry two. I don't know exactly what it is, maybe quarters. But the thing I love is that early in the down they're okay, but he kind of extends the play and mixes and is able to score a touchdown here.
Right, and again, this shows you what not being sound in your pass rush, connecting, working together, how it gets you in trouble. They're playing Tampa too for the most part. They just don't have a middle runner, and the reason they don't have a middle runner obviously is because they break off shallow.
Okay.
But really down here at the bottom right, what you would like to see is if you're a defensive coordinator, is for the right corner.
Okay, number 24.
Looking at it, being patient, staying on his landmark.
Yeah.
You want to see the right safety. Again, being disciplined, working towards his landmark. He's too narrow.
Okay.
He should be over here on the bottom of that E. He should be to the left side of that E.
Okay. So a little wider there, kind of constrict this throwing window, right?
Right. And so what happens is because, like you said, DeVito does extend it. Okay, and he's looking at that corner. The corner is breaking before he has a true sense as to where he's going.
I see what you're saying.
Yep.
And so the other thing that you mentioned, I think that's really good insight, is initially it's good coverage.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of space to go with the football, but you mentioned the rush, Coach.
Yes.
How would you coach this rush differently?
Well, the biggest thing is once as an end, I spin way too soon. I got to get a little bit deeper. I got to get to the quarterback's depth. I mean, I know he's one of the best in the league, but to me, I would have, my coaching point would have been, we got to get our depth.
Yes.
Get at least the quarterback level, and then come underneath. Because a lot of times, especially when you're rushing to the quarterback's eyes, in other words, his right side for a right-handed quarterback, if you get to that depth, he's going to see you out of his periphery, more than likely.
Okay.
And he'll feel you, he'll step up. But if you never get to his depth, now what happens is when he looks, see, there's nobody out there. I'm gone.
Yeah, I can get out. And he is a guy that moves around a little bit.
Yes.
And I do think, the two tackles for them are playing a little bit better. I know they're a little bit banged up. The interior is playing a little bit better. So maximizing that pass rush is going to be really, really
It's
important.
going to be key because, again, one thing we have seen is if his first or second initial reads aren't there, he's tucking and going.
He's getting out of there, right? That's kind of what he does. Little Taylor Heineke finicky little, kind of that inexperience showing up. But yeah, so interesting. And then the other thing is defensively, man, they just do so much fun stuff defensively, right? So they get this motion up top. The guy travels with the motion. It looks like man. It looks to me like Dak checks to a man beater here with an out route versus a guy with inside leverage. And they're really in, I guess, like what I would say is quarters here, maybe cover 2, depending on how you read that.
Yeah, it does, depending on how you read it. I mean, with the top corner going as deep as he is, I know that's the quarter size. Down here, one of his wings tendencies is he will roll to a single side and try and eliminate that guy.
Yeah, so kind of matching the coverage, but I love that with the motion pre-snap, it looks like man. They check to something else. How do you coach this up, Coach? And then you get the dropper down here, showing pressure, working to this side like you were talking about. Like really cool stuff here defensively for them.
Well, the biggest thing is what you've got to do is, okay, so you got a pre-snap read, okay, and you think it says you're in man,
right?
Okay. Now, what you've got to look for though is when you get your post-snap read, okay, what does post-snap tell me once it's been snapped?
Well, these safeties getting out of there, it's definitely split safety.
Yep.
And with this guy dropping out, maybe zone. This still looks like man with the way he's carrying it, but he doesn't turn his shoulders. So
correct. So again, if you see it down here, look what he does. He poaches, so you know he's playing what we call the trampoline effect. In other words, I'm going to show him going right, but as soon as I get that read, I'm coming back, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, and so I mean, to me, this is this is a well-disguised defense.
Yep.
This is I don't fault Dak for reading this the way he does because it feels like man, but there are some subtle tendencies for sure.
Yeah, there really are. But this is very well played, and again, this comes off of the fact that they showed pressure initially, and so it sped him up a little bit instead of really being sure. Okay, he probably made a decision a little sooner than he needed to.
Absolutely. And the other thing I want to talk about of this is your guy Dexter Lawrence, number 97. He just seems like he's a nightmare for centers. And do you see something in his play style that says this is why he's being so successful?
Yeah, to me the biggest thing is he plays with tremendous leverage. And because he plays with tremendous leverage, he gets this opportunity. He can shove a guy back. Yeah. Okay, or he can get him to turn a shoulder.
Right.
And that's all he needs. And once he gets into that position, he can go.
Yeah, because here it ends up almost being a triple team on him, and you almost get a free runner. But that's how well he's playing at the moment. And so managing that matchup, managing the kind of the complicated nature of this defense is also something else. But you guys, I think, have the ability to get that done, obviously. And then this last play, Coach, there's no reason it's on here. I just wanted to ask you about it, what you thought of it, because I think it's pretty cool. It looks like an all-out. I love how they roll here. I just want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is, for the most part, is they are showing pressure, but again, making sure your post-snap reads are correct.
Yes.
Okay. What you've got to do is you've got to know that for the most part your pressure's coming from the right if they are coming.
Yeah.
All right. As you get your snap and you recognize it, you see it. Now you know you have certain throws available.
Yeah.
And so right away, to me, if he hits the check down back out to the outside, the tight end on the left, okay, he's settled everything down.
Yeah.
And that's all that is. What happens, you have to understand too that, again, these are coming on third and long situations.
100%.
They want the ball out as quick as possible, and if they get the ball out as quick as possible, what typically happens is, and the defenders are set already, they have a chance to come downhill and make plays.
Yeah, because even though this looks super complicated, it's really just 3 deep, 3 underneath.
Yes, like it's a normal zone pressure. All it really is. All they're doing is they're running a tube to the top. The guy's going in between the B gap. Okay, watch both defenders come right through the B gap. That's all it is. And so it's really, in true essence, it's just 4 strong.
Yeah, but it's kind of the disguise, and then for them to get to it, it looks like crazy. But when you just pause the tape, you're like, hey, this isn't that complicated. It's something everybody does.
Right. But to me, again, there's a couple things you have to, you've got to be willing to do as a quarterback, and one is hang in there.
Yeah.
And 2 is, if you read it, go quickly to your outlet. Your outlet's being either the back or the tight end for the most part, especially because they're chipping.
Yeah.
And once they chip and you know where they're chipping, again, now you want to get to them. The back checks, there's nobody coming, so he gets to go. The tight end's got to chip right off the bat. So again, as I come back as a quarterback, I know I've got one of those 2 guys. Now what he's doing is he's running away from pressure, okay, so he got to go to the back.
Yeah, but also I think to your point, Coach, I think this is interesting. If you're reading this out effectively, let's say we're reading the dig here, which is the slot receiver, it's dead, right? So we're the timing and the rhythm of the play, just get the ball to the tight end here, like you're saying. I don't need to vacate the pocket. And then
it's catch and run and see what happens.
Absolutely, and Sam's been doing a great job of that. So hopefully you can continue that this week against the New York Giants. Coach, thank you so much. Always learn a ton when we talk through this football stuff.
Appreciate it.
If you like podcasts, you're in luck. Check out these pods we have for you every single week. Get Loud on Monday with Fred Smoot and Michael Jenkins. They talk about anything and everything. This week, they talk about how Fred's yard got vandalized by a very nasty fan in Minnesota. Next Man Up on Tuesdays with Brian Colbert Jr. and your favorite Commanders player. This week, it's Chris Paul. Command Center on Wednesdays and Fridays with me, Santana, and Fred. We talk about football all the time. Deep dive with former players. That's awesome show. The Players Cup on Fridays with London Fletcher, Santana Moss, and your favorite Commanders players. You don't get Commanders content like this anywhere else. Keep it here because right after the break, we're going to hear from our Washington legends about their tickets to a win. That's next on the Game Plan with Ron Rivera, presented by your local Honda dealer. Welcome back. It's time for some healthy competition presented by Ortho Virginia, official orthopedic and sports medicine partner of the Washington Commanders. Here's a look at the competition today for the Commanders. Undrafted rookie quarterback Tommy DeVito is expected to start again for the Giants today. He just had 86 yards passing in his first career start last week against Dallas. Here's what Coach had to say about the G-men this week.
Well, just the mindset I talked about today more than anything else is about the opportunity that's in front of us. It's a chance to get ourselves on track and keep going. And I think it's really about focusing and preparing and doing the things that we need to give us the best opportunity to win.
We have more Commanders coverage coming your way today. Don't forget to tune in to Command Center Game Day live at 11:30 with Brian Mitchell and Santana Moss live from FedEx Field. Man, that's great contact. And after the game, Command Center Post-Game Live where B. Mitch and I break down the game. It's awesome insight. You can find the shows on Commanders YouTube, Facebook, and X. It's time for your ticket to a dub, presented by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Washington Commanders. Let's hear from my Command Center guys on their ticket to a dub.
Thanks, Logan. All right, today, fellas, to getting a dub against the New York Giants, it has to be handling the pressure package of the New York Giants. Yeah. Wink Martindale, he's going to dial up a bunch of zero blitzes. We have to be able to deal with that, Santana.
I'm going to piggyback off of that one. I believe it's going to be about the coaches. What do EB have in store for Wink Martindale? Now, we saw our defense last time hold them to 14 points. Right. Everybody was scratching their head about that because the guys weren't scoring that many points leading to that game. Yeah. But it's going to be all about our offense dictating the game to Wink and making sure that we stay on the field long enough to not have to put our defense in those pressure situations. Yeah. And we talking about DeVito. We shouldn't be able to lose to DeVito. But hey, can't fall for it, Fred.
I totally understand about it, but guys, I'm going a whole different direction. I'm going player matchups. And Lawson, don't forget, the Giants are the reason we started exchanging offensive linemen. They built this offensive line. Lawson, Dexter Lawrence. I think that's the matchup that starts everything. That's why I think it starts. That's why I think it ends. Don't forget about Saquon Barkley, guys. Yeah. Every time we play this guy, he's the reason that we end up losing this game. I'm matching him up head-to-head with the dark horse, the guy who I think having a great year with Jamin Davis.
I'm glad you went matchups because that made me think about, okay, the matchups are wide receivers against the defensive backs of the New York Giants. Because the Giants, they love to go zero blitz. That means man-to-man coverage with Santana, with Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin. Win those matchups, and that will be the ticket to a dub.
All right, Coach, a lot of names thrown out there. What'd you think of those takes by those guys?
Well, the truth of the matter is, they answered the question. The ticket to the dub is exactly that. It is about matchups. First of all, I do agree with that. Because if you really think about it, it is going to be the matchup between EB, and Wink Martindale.
Yeah, 100%.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, what EB's doing and what he wants us to do against what Wink's trying to do. And then the player matchups. Those are huge. I do agree. I most certainly do agree. I mean, it's going to start up front. We'll see how both offense and defensive lines of both teams do. In terms of the matchups.
Absolutely.
And then again, here comes the pressure. How are we going to handle the pressure? Well, hey, our receivers, they got to win at the snap, and we'll see how that goes. And then again, Sam has to see all that.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things about the receivers that we haven't talked about is what do you think about that matchup specifically? Young guys on them, they're a little bit banged up in the secondary. Something I feel like we should be able to take advantage of.
Well, there'll be some opportunities. And that's the thing that Terry has to do. Terry's got to create those opportunities. Jahan's got to create those opportunities. Curtis Diami. And then our tight ends and our backs. Yeah. Those guys can be the wild horses as well because, again, the dark horses, because what happens is as we clear things out with the receivers, now you got to work underneath.
And those underneath guys, the backs, the tight ends, they usually draw better coverage matchups, right? They get linebackers and safeties, guys who don't cover super great.
But I will say, Giants have two really good linebackers. I mean, I really do. I like them both. I really do. I think those guys are solid players. You know, they're going to be matchup problems for us.
Karake and McKenzie, right?
Yes.
Yes, right.
You know, and again, they're both guys that, again, that you do your job, give yourself an opportunity, and get leverage on them as receivers, you got a chance to win.
Do you have a little bit of bias towards those linebackers?
I always do. Come on, just like you and tight ends.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Coach, thank you so much. And make sure you guys tune in next week for more of the Game Plan with Ron Rivera.